this is Nick. Welcome to ISG, where we talk all things real estate in the Czech Republic. Today we're going to do the first video in our series of the Buyer's Guide for 2025, which is all about the reasons for buying a property. Whenever I have a new client, the first question I ask them is why they're buying the property. And there's generally two differences you get here. You get people who are buying them as an investment, or you get people that are buying them to live in. And of course, you do get some people who aren't quite sure which one they want to do, or maybe they want to do kind of half and half. And we'll get onto that later. So the main people buy property is to live in. So in my opinion, this is around 70 to 80% of this is kind of with the heart. You're going to find something that really fits your needs. It's very specific to you in terms of how it's laid out or where it is. It's got to be something that you really want, and it's going to work for you and your family. And around the other 20 to 30%, there should always be a financial kind of side, a statistical side to this. You don't want to be buying a property that's maybe perfect, but maybe there's something in this area which is going to happen in the future which may send the prices down, or at least not track the rest of the real estate market. Hopefully it would be quite the opposite. You would buy something that not only you fall in love with, but that you also are going to get an even better return on in the future. Because obviously it's the first step on your journey. You're going to live in this property until you buy your next property, for example, and continue up. So the more income you have from this sale, the better property you can get the next time as well. So I think it's very important, even if it is just about where you live, to have that kind of look on the other side as well at the financials and make sure that this does make sense. You are buying it at the right price and in a good area and things like that. Now, also, a lot of people buy a property as an investment. So conversely, I would say this is, maybe a little bit stronger. Maybe this is more like 80 to 90%. It's just about the financials. It's about where the property is, how the area is going to develop in the future. What kind of return, what kind of rent you're going to get. How do the numbers stack up? The idea of buying the property as an investment is to make money, to increase your wealth. So you want something that's going to perform as well as possible. However, at the same time, there always is a little bit of the heart on the other side. It's very difficult for some people to look at a property that's maybe in very poor condition, and no matter what the statistics say or what the financials say, there's always that niggle in the mind of it's pretty horrible there. I wouldn't want to live in this myself. Is this going to really be a good investment? Because at the end of the day, you also want peace of mind with it. And if things start to go wrong, you may have an even worse feeling, and you may just wish to sell when the time isn't right because of that. So I think it's very important that not only is the right property from a financial standpoint, but it's also making you happy at the same time. So you shouldn't neglect that fact, I believe. Now, of course, a lot of people come to me who are not really sure what they want to do, because they know they want to buy a property and they want to get on the property market, but maybe they can only afford a small property because they're not sure what they're going to do. They're not sure if they're going to stay in the Czech Republic, or they're thinking about buying something that they may live in the future. They're really not sure. And to me, this is a bit of a problem. I think based on the two things we've already discussed about how you think, it's very hard to kind of think about something 50-50. To me, something's either an incredible investment opportunity or a beautiful place to live. And it's very rare that you would find a kind of 50-50 mix between the two. In some ways, I think it doesn't exist. So my advice to anyone who is thinking like this, they're not really sure, is to be sure what it is that you want to buy. And it will make your life and the journey of buying the property so much easier. So I think it's really important that you settle down and come to which one of these is most important. Which one is, this is 80% an investment, or more, or this is 80% a place to live in. Because somewhere between the two, you generally find something that's nice but doesn't perform, and that's really not helping maybe either scenario. Thanks very much for watching, and see you again soon for our second video.